even bigger issue. So Kincaid Springs is on the back edge of this along 124, but you can still see more of that coming to the east again. This tornado warning is set to expire by about 6:45 tonight, so about another 10 minutes. We'll be watching to see if the rotation holds together. That's it right there. So that rotation, as it moves a little farther to the east, if it weakens and broadens out, great. We can let this thing go, and it's just a thunderstorm at that point, maybe with some gusty winds. But if this manages to hold together the way it is now, that's why we're going to potentially see this tornado warning expanded into eastern Pike County, and then that would include the city of Waverly and the rest of this part of 23 that's north of Piketon. Piketon's kind of on the edge of this right now, but this is the rotation. North of that, not a whole lot happening. I mean, we've got storms, but they're not really all that severe at the moment. They're just dropping some very heavy rain. But out near Sunfish, this is the part of the storm that has the National Weather Service very concerned about some of that rotation. Lightning and thunder is very frequent in parts of Scioto County. You can see down near Portsmouth, plenty of lightning and thunder happening there with a pretty good hail core as well. And that is going to also march across the county at a good 55 to 60 miles per hour. But the tornado warning will stay in effect until at least 6:45 tonight. A couple of things go with this. It's not just the rotation that's been the issue. It's straight line winds as well. We talked about the example of where you're in your car, and let's say you've got a baseball, and in the car you're already doing 60 miles an hour, and you throw that baseball out the window toward the front of the car. You're giving it enough energy that that baseball is going to actually go faster than the car for a second. And then what you get is it loses its energy and it'll fly back past you because it didn't have enough energy to keep going. These storms, though, are pushing wind that way. So like the baseball, when you initially throw it, the wind is coming out of the storm even faster than the speed of the storm itself. And so that's where you can get those gusty winds that can cause some damage, bring down some tree limbs. It can even move around your porch furniture. We saw some of that happen yesterday. That is also happening along the leading edge of these storms with wind gusts of 40, 50, 60 miles per hour as the storms move to the northeast. These storms really are packing a lot of heavy rain as well, some of which is not altogether helpful because some of that rain is running off faster than we can use it. What we need to solve our drought situation is some of that rain to percolate into the soil and to help the aquifers and to just make the soil a little less arid, a little less dry than it has been the last few weeks. And so that way, it would be a little more helpful. When that hits the ground like concrete, it runs off, not going to really percolate in and be so helpful. So a slow, steady rain would be the most beneficial, but right now what we're getting is some of this very heavy rain. So headed into Cockrell Run by about 6:42, 6:44 it gets into Piketon. That's about the time that this tornado warning is scheduled to expire. And the tornado warning, if it's right on the edge and there's still signs of rotation, will be expanded. So for now, it only goes about as far as Piketon and it'll expire in about 5 minutes or so. Let's see how the storms continue. If that rotation holds together, the Weather Service will add to this and continue the tornado warning into eastern Pike County. So even though you're out here in the eastern portions, don't let your guard down just yet because you may end up included in some of this. For now, it only goes about as far as Piketon and just to the west of 23. These severe thunderstorm warnings are also continuing for parts of Ross County and down into a little bit of Scioto County as well. Let me show you those again so you know where to be prepared. This is what that looks like. So out near Waverly, you've got a severe thunderstorm until warning until 7:30. The southern portions of the state until 7 o'clock, so that's going to be Scioto County. But here's your tornado warning that still, it does include Piketon, right up until about 6:45 tonight. These storms so far not showing us that they've made any real damage path and that they've actually had anything touch down, but that is still going to be a concern as long as that rotation continues to show up in these storms. So this is going to be a bit of an evening. Let me get back onto a wider picture here to show you more of where some of this is happening, because this is a line that is moving quickly, and we've been tracking it through southwestern Ohio as it continues to move a little bit farther into central Ohio. So there is the tornado warning. Let me widen out a little more here. The tornado warning for Pike County until 6:45. This is the line of storms that is now just south of South Salem. That is headed toward Chillicothe. It's about to run out of the thunderstorm warning in the southwestern portions of Ross County. Wouldn't be surprised to see that expanded so that it includes the next batch, and that would get it into Chillicothe most likely. But you also have this line that goes all the way down through Lucasville and Portsmouth. So it's a strong line that moves at least through 3 counties at this point. Columbus itself is on the northern edge of all of this. Columbus is just getting some moderate to heavy rain. Not even a lot of lightning and thunder with that in Franklin County, but there is some lightning and thunder in parts of Fairfield and Pickaway counties. So some heavy rain just about to get into Lancaster, but no warnings to go along with that. In the meantime, there is your tornado warning for parts of Pike County. We are hoping that that rotation begins to let up a little bit. If it does, then this tornado warning will be allowed to expire, and we will start to see just thunderstorm warnings, which are worthwhile keeping an eye on their own. But if the rotation begins to weaken, then that will be allowed to expire. Not seeing a lot in the way of hail with these. Sometimes when you get these really big storms, you get those really powerful updrafts, and that can generate a whole lot of hail. In this case, the warning does not include a tag for hail. They're just suggesting that the thunderstorms could produce the wind, straight line winds in some cases, and you're also getting the warning for the tornado for the rotation that's happening in the middle of Pike County right now. Let's look at that again because we want to continue to track that as it moves through Pike County. You can see that bright spot right there still happening. That is going to be, let's put it right there. So what you're seeing here, here's Pebble and Idaho, and you've got this rotation that's very broad right now, but it's still holding together a little bit. So again, green toward Wilmington, and then the red away from Wilmington. So toward and away, toward and away. With that potential rotation continuing to happen, that's why that tornado warning remains in effect until now. So this has weakened enough that the National Weather Service is less concerned about it. You see how that just in the last sweep or two of the radar, how that's not quite as bright as it was even just a few sweeps ago. So the National Weather Service has allowed the tornado warning to expire in Pike County. However, there are still severe thunderstorm warnings that stretch all the way down to the Ohio River. We're not going anywhere. We'll be here to keep an eye on it. When more watches and warnings are issued, we will let you know immediately. Stay weather aware for the rest of the evening.